तमेव लोकशङ्करं नमामि शङ्करं गुरुं नमामि शङ्करं गुरुं नमामि शङ्करं गुरुं.
माला सुधाकुम्भ विबोधमुद्रा विद्या विराजत् करवारिजाताम् अपार कारुण्य सुधाम्बुराशिं श्री शारदाम्बां प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. With namaskaras to the Padapadmas of the Ubhaya Jagadgurus, we shall continue with our discussion of the Kamalajadayitashtaka. In the fourth shloka, Vidya mudrakshamala mritaghata vilasat pani pathoja jale vidyadana pravine jada badhira mukhebhyopi shigran natebhyah kamadin antaran mat sahajaripuvaran devi nirmulya vegat vidyam shuddhancha buddhim Kamalajadayite Sattvarandehi Mahyam. This is the shloka. In this, Acharya has described predominantly three things. In the first pada, the implements in Devi's hands are described. What does Sharadamba hold in her hands? Vidya, Mudra, Akshamala, Amrutaghata, Vilasat, Pani, Pathoja, Jale. Pani, Pathoja. Pathoja refers to a lotus. So in her Pani Padmas, Devi is holding Vidya, a pustaka, Mudra, Chinmudra, Akshamala, a japamala, Amrutaghata, a sudha kalasha. So this is what Devi is holding in her hands. And what is she doing in the second pada? Vidyadana pravine. She is very skilled at bestowing knowledge upon everyone. Natebhya, to those who do namaskara to her, she is very skilled, or she is very capable in giving them jnana, in giving them knowledge. Even if they are jada badhira mukhebhyopi, even if they are deaf, dumb, blind, mute, even if they are slightly dull, she can remove any obstacles that they have and give them proper knowledge, give them jnana. In the third pada, kamadin antaran mat sahajaripuvaran devi nirmulya. We are asking that Devi destroy the sahajaripus, the natural enemies that reside in our heart. Antaran, kamadin, kama, krodha, etc. So this is the layout of this shloka. However, these are not just mere sambodhanas. These are not just some visheshanas put to address Devi. Each of these words has a very particular background to it. For example, we discussed the form of Devi a few episodes ago. But now, since we are talking about Vidyam Shuddhancha Buddhin Dehi, because we are talking about Jnana, we shall now discuss the inner meaning of the objects that Devi holds in her hands. Acharya also has told us many times that each object, the Mudra, the Chinmudra, the Pustaka, the Japamala and the Aksha Sutra, all four of these have a very particular significance when it comes to Jnana Sadhana. So as we said, the Chinmudra, in a previous episode we have discussed the Chinmudra at length, but to recap, the Chinmudra represents Jnana. That Jnana is of the nature of removing the Jiva from the three times, the three gunas, the three shariras, and uniting him with Paramatma. So that Jiva Brahmaikya, that is bereft of the Mithya Jagat. That is the nature of Jnana. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Naparaha. This is the nature of Jnana. This is what the Jnana is, and that is shown through the use of the Chinmudra. So the Chinmudra is the Jnana that needs to be gotten, that needs to be obtained. Then in one hand, Devi has a Pustaka, a Grantha. This represents Shastric knowledge, Adhyayana. So the Shastric knowledge is incredibly important for someone that wishes to get Jnana. Study of our text, Itihasas, Puranas, Nyaya, Mimamsadi, Shastras, all of this needs to be read, studied. Granthas, literature needs to be studied for the sake of obtaining Jnana. That is why we first have Shravana and Manana before we go to Nididhyasana. Shravana means listening to the Vedanta Tattva from a Guru either through the Upanishads or through other texts, listening to the Vedanta Tattva from the Guru and coming to the realization that everything that our literature is telling us is finding its true purport in Advaita. So whether it be Itihasas, Puranas, all the Upanishads, whatever it be, their true purport lies in Advaita. So knowing this from the speech of the Guru, from the teachings of the Guru, and from the Upanishads and other Vedantic texts. So this is Shravana. Then what is Manana? Through the use of Nyaya and Mimamsa, doing Vichara and coming to the conclusion through oneself that yes, whatever my teacher has told me, whatever the Upanishads are telling is true. To do this retrospection, you need Nyaya and Mimamsa. So for all of this, you need that Shastra Dhyana. So that book represents the Shastra Jnana. Then in one hand, Devi has a Japamala. This Japamala is indicative of Anushtana. So it is not enough just to read, but there needs to be some daily practice. There needs to be a daily regimen that we have in place in order to move forward in our sadhana. And the best implement for that is Japa. That is why Bhagavan also says in Gita, Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi. Among all the yajnas, I am Japa Yajna. Why in another Smriti it is told, Ahimsaya cha bhutanam Japa Yajñah pravartate. When it comes to Japa, there is no himsa. So in things like upavasas and all, there will be some, some fatigue caused to the body. In other karmas, maybe some harm may be done to either yourself or someone else or something. There is a chance of that. But when it comes to Japa, there is no harm caused to anyone, there is no fatigue caused to anyone, there is no ill effect caused to anyone. There is only a good effect. So in that way, ahimsaya cha bhutanam japa yajñah pravartate. So that japa is said to be the foremost of all observances. And that japa mala is a sign of that japa. Because this upasana that is done, the japa mala is indicative of upasana, mantra japa. This upasana acts as a bridge between the karma kanda and the jnana kanda. Japa in its original state will be treated as a karma. It is something you have to do. There is a process, there are do's and don'ts, there are niyamas. So it starts as a karma. But if done properly, it will fructify, and if coupled with Vedanta sadhana, it can end up as jnana sadhana. Because when you are doing japa, first of all, you will be inculcating ekagrata in your mind, that single-minded focus, focusing on the mantra, that nada, that devata, to the exclusion of all else. That single-minded focus that is crucial to nididhyasana is obtained through japa. In the same way, if you are doing Anushtana properly and Upasana properly, you will be doing bhavana of the tattva of the devata that you are doing Upasana of. So the Upasya devata, you should be seeking to firmly establish that devata in your mind and truly understand that devata. So this is also why we call it Ishvara Upasanam. So when you understand the devata, Ishvara, when you understand that roop, that form of Bhagavan, you will be getting closer and closer to understanding Bhagavan's true nature. That is why we have in the Upanishad also, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Tajjalaniti Shanta Upasita. So Tajjalaniti, when you do that Upasana of Brahman, when you do that Brahma Upasana, when you do that Bhavana of Paramatma, the Bhavana should be Tajjalan. What does this word Tajjalan mean? It is a very peculiar word. It is a Vedic word. It is a Chandasa Prayoga. Tasmad Jayate iti Tajjam. That from which the world is born is Tajjam. Tasmil Liyate iti Tallam. So the Prapancha also gets Laya in Brahman. And Tasmad Aniti Pranati Tad on. That is how that word has come. That is the Chandasa portion, the Vedic portion. So basically, you should meditate upon Brahman as that from which the world is born, that in which the world dissolves, and that from which the world draws breath, from which the world draws its life, its sustenance. So basically, you should meditate upon Paramatma as the Srishti Sthiti Laya Karaka, from whom the world is not different. Therefore, Shantaha. The sadhaka will be calm and peaceful at mind. When will the mind be agitated? If you are meditating on one thing, if there is a second object that your mind finds, that is when the agitation will occur. But in this way, if you meditate upon Paramatma, you will find that the Jagat is not separate from Paramatma. There is no second object other than Paramatma. And therefore, the sadhaka's mind will be Shanta, unperturbed from what it is doing dhyana of. And in that way, Shanta Upasita. You should do Brahmopasana, you should do the Tattva Vichara, you should do the Chintana, Bhavana of Brahman in this way. So that japa is the bridge that will take us from karma to be able to think of Paramatma and in due course of time the Shuddha Atma in this way. So the Japamala is a sign of that. And there is a very beautiful Sloka that is also there. It is a Chautapadya that about that Japamala. If you notice, the hand that bears that Japamala also has a parrot on top of it. So there is one Sloka. Tava kara kamalastham sphatiki makshamalam nakhakirana vibhinnam dadimi bija buddhya pratikala manukarshan yena kiro nishiddhaha sabhavatu mama bhutyai vani te mandahasaha. This is one very nice shloka that was composed, and it involves that Japamala of Devi. So on that very same hand there is also a parrot. Parrots always want to eat something, some seeds or some fruit or something. Parrots will always want to eat something. And on top of that, the Japamala that Devi is holding is a Sphatikakshamala. Why is it a Sphatikakshamala? In Shastra, there is one Phalabheda that is told. Japa done with Rudraksha will give Jnana. Japa done with a Sphatikakshamala will give Moksha. So generally we all are still in the stage where we want to get Jnana. We still need Chitta Shuddhi. We still need that Ekagrata. Because we are still trying for all of these, we usually use a Rudrakshamala. People like Sannyasis, Paramahamsas, people rooted in the Jnana Marga, they will usually use Sphatikakshamala. Which is why if we notice, when Acharya, when the Jagadguru comes out in the Rajavesha during Darbar in Navaratri, in the hand, Acharya will be holding a Sphatikakshamala. So in that way, that is why, because Moksha is what Devi gives in the end, Devi is holding a Sphatikakshamala. And this Spatika is transparent. It does not have a color of its own, but it just shows the color of whatever is behind it. So in that way, Devi is holding the Akshamala. Tava karakamalastham sphatikam akshamalam nakhakirana vibhinnam. So the tips of Devi's nails and also her hand also, they are all very red. Right? Because we call it a Pani Padma. And especially the tips of the nails will also be that light red in color. So when Devi is holding that Japamala with that hand, that redness of her nails is being found, is reflecting, or not even reflecting, is being seen in the Sphatikakshamala, because the Sphatika is translucent, it is transparent. So this Kira, the Kira means the Shuka, the parrot is looking at that Japamala that has turned red and is thinking that it is a group of pomegranate seeds. And therefore, thinking that otherwise clear Sphatikakshamala that has been made red by Devi's nails, thinking that Akshamala is a series of pomegranate seeds, the Shuka, that parrot is trying to peck at it because it wants to swallow those pomegranate seeds. But then Devi, with her smile, with a small smile, say te mandahasaha, with a small smile, Devi is diverting that parrot, saying, this is not what you think it is. This is not. These are not pomegranate seeds. This is a Japamala. So you stop pulling at it. Pratikala manukarshan kiraha. The kira, that parrot, is trying to pull at that Japamala, thinking that it is a pomegranate seed. But yena kiro nishiddha saha mandaha saha. So that smile that Devi has smiled in order to divert the parrot away from the Japamala, may that smile of Devi, that mandahasa of Devi, may that give us bhuti, may that give us shreyas and sampat and all of that. In this shloka, as a dhvani, the nature of the jiva has also been shown. The jiva seeks happiness in the bahya prapancha. So the jiva, out of his nature, is always acting externally. He thinks that the locus of happiness is external, and therefore he seeks happiness in the jagat rather than inside himself, which is where the Ananda truly lies. And when the jiva does that, he needs someone to pull him away. He needs the Shastra Granthas that will tell him that Ananda is not outside, it is elsewhere. Or he needs a guru that will tell him that Ananda is not elsewhere, it is within you. Or he needs the Anugraha Devata that will allow him to know that Ananda is not external, it is internal. In the same way, just as the jiva thinks that Ananda is in the Jagat, and then either through the case of the Guru and the Shastra, he is pulled back. In the same way, this parrot also is looking at this Spatika. What is Spatika? It is a particular type of stone. It is a type of gemstone. So it is hard and dry. But the Kira, this Shuka is thinking that sweet, succulent, juicy pomegranate seed is found there. So something that is dry and hard is being thought of as succulent and juicy. So that is Ananda, right? So the Kira, that Shuka, that parrot is thinking that its Ananda will be found in that. But that is obviously not the case. Whatever the Shuka is thinking as a juicy pomegranate seed is actually a juiceless, tasteless, hard, dry gemstone. So then even though this is the case, out of Bhranti, out of confusion, the parrot is still trying to pull that Japamala. But it is Devi's hasa, it is that the smile of Devi, that yena kiro nishiddha, that the kira, that parrot is being pulled back from the Japamala. In the same way, it is the grace of Devi, it is the grace of the Guru, it is the grace of Devi as Vangmaya, because she is Vangmaya Rupini and she is Guru Mandala Rupini. So it is Devi as the Guru and as Shastra that allows the Jiva to pull himself back from this external Jagat and allow him to find happiness in himself. That is why the Upanishad is also telling us, Kaschid dhiraf pratyagatmanam aichata avritta chakshuho. So whoever wishes to know the pratyagatma, the Atma that is within you, he needs to become avritta chakshuho. His indriyas need to become turned inward, not outward. He needs to be focused internally. He should not let the indriyas run outwards into the Jagat. So all of this is told in that story involving the Japamala. So this is a very nice shloka that some Kavi has. We do not know even who wrote this shloka, but it is a very beautiful shloka involving the Japamala. This is called Bhranti Madalankara in Shastra. But all in all, this Japamala is indicative of the Anushtana that needs to be done. So that Japa that is conducive to Jnana Sadhana is indicated by the Japamala. So, and then the last hand that we have is the Amruta Kalasha. So the Amruta the Amruta signifies the Ananda that is obtained. So through Jnana you get Moksha. In that state of Moksha you experience Ananda. So that Ananda is denoted by the Amruta Kalasha, because Amruta is first of all, it is very sweet, so it depicts Ananda. And the second thing is that Amruta is lasting. So generally when we are talking about Kshanika Anandas, fleeting pleasures, the example that Shastra usually gives is Srak Chandana Vanitadi. So Srak and Chandana. So Srak refers to a garland, Chandana is all these Sugandha Lepas and all that, but a garland, let us say. So when you wear a garland, it smells very good, it looks very nice. For how long? Maybe half an hour, 1 hour. After that, the flowers wilt. If you wait a day, it will also start to smell bad. So these things are all lasting pleasures. But Amrita is what Devatas drink in heaven. And that is experienced for a long amount of time. So that is why we have some Vedavakyas also. Apama Somam Amrita Bhuma. We have enjoyed the yagas, we have drunk the Soma yagas, and we have become Amrita, which means that we have obtained Sukha for a very long period of time. So Amrita denotes lasting pleasure, lasting happiness, lasting Sukha. So Moksha is of the same thing. So when you get Moksha, Moksha is forever. Nasa punaravartate. There is no coming back into samsara once you have gotten Jnana. So it is that Swaswarupa Ananda experienced permanently. So that Ananda is denoted through the Amruta Kalasha. So if we see in this way, in the four hands, one hand is the Jnana. So what is the Jnana that needs to be obtained is shown by the Chinmudra. How do we get that Jnana? That is the Pustaka and the Japamala. Adhyayana and Anushtana will lead you to the Jnana. Then through this Jnana, what is obtained? Ananda, Nitya Ananda, Shashvata Ananda. That is Moksha. So in this way, in Devi's four hands, the entire gamut of Jnana Sadhana has been shown. And then in the next stanza we have Vidyadana Pravine. In the next line we have Vidyadana Pravine Jada Badhiramukhebhyo Shigran Natebhyaha. Devi will give Jnana to anyone. To get Jnana, you need two things. There are things called Bahya Karanas and Antara Karanas. So some things are the external Indriyas. So you need to have eyes to see. You need to have ears to listen to the Vakyas of the Guru. You need to have eyes to be able to read texts. You need to be able to speak in order to ask questions if you do not understand something. So all of this is needed. But these Badhiras, people who are deaf or Andha, people who are blind, or Mooka, people who cannot speak, these people, they may undergo some trouble when it comes to this Jnana Sadhana, because the mute people cannot ask questions, the blind cannot read books, the deaf cannot listen to the words of the Guru. But even to them, Devi is capable of removing whatever troubles that they have and giving them jnana. It is not enough if just our indriyas are functional, but that antarakarana, the manas also needs to be functional. The manas needs to be sharp. The manas needs to be able to grasp subtle things. That is why also in Upanishad says, Drishyate tvagreya buddhya. This Atma Tattva can only be even thought of by people who have a very sukshma darshana. And also, in addition to this, you should be able to retain whatever has been told. You should understand what is taught and you should be able to retain it and all of this. So all of this comes to the mind. So the mind should be sharp. If the mind is not sharp, that person is called a jada. So even to that jada, Devi is capable of removing the defects in his mind and his intellect and making him capable of getting jnana. So that is why Vidyadana Pravine Jada Badhiramukhebhyopi Shighram Natebhyaha. And the last thing that Acharya is telling in this shloka is Kamadin Antaran Mat Sahajaripuvaran Devi Nirmulya Vegat. So Acharya is praying here for the removal of the Sahajaripus, the natural enemies such as Kama and all. And also here Nirmulya. So this is a Lyabanta, having destroyed. The Lyabanta denotes Anantarya. So only after the Nirmolana will the Shuddha Vidya or the Shuddha Manas be. So Vidyam Shuddhancha Buddhim Dehi. So Kamadin Nirmulya, Shuddha Vidyam Shuddham Buddhim Cha Dehi. Only after the Kamadi Shatrus have been destroyed will a pure mind or Jnana be obtained. So here also Acharya said Kamadin Shatrun. So the enemies of whom Kama is the foremost. Why is it that Kama is the foremost? Because it is from Kama that the Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya all spring forth. If Kama is uprooted, everything else will be uprooted. That is why Bhagavad Pada also says in Gita, in the Kama Esha Krodha Esha Sloka, Kama eva pratihataha kenachit krodhatvena parinamate. It is Kama, when denied, that becomes Krodha. So if our desire is denied to us, we get angry at the people at whoever or whatever denied that to us. Occasionally, we may even get angry at the object of desire sometimes. So it is only Kama that becomes Krodha and Moha and Mada and Matsarya. All of those spring from Kama. So although Acharya is saying Kama Adin, of those Kama is the foremost. And even within this, Kama is a Sahajaripu, it is a natural enemy to us. So here actually in the Gita, Bhagavan says, Avritam Jnanametena Jnanino Nityavairina. It conceals our Jnana, it covers up our Jnana, and then Bhagavan also called it Nityavairi, a Nitya Shatru. So Kama is a Shatru. Why did Bhagavan have to call it a Nitya Shatru? There, Bhagavad Pada writes a very beautiful in the Bhashya there, Bhagavad Pada writes a very beautiful sequence of lines explaining this, saying that for a Jnani, Kama will be seen as a Shatru in the past, present and future. There is no point of time in which the Jnani will not regard Kama as a Shatru. Because the Jnani knows, if I become beholden to Kama, I will commit a papa and thereby get dukkha. So Kama is always an enemy to me. Jnani no nityavairina. But for a Murkha, what is the situation? Bhagavad Pada writes that Mitratvena. The Murkha will look at Kama as a friend. He will think, I want something. So let me feed this desire of mine as it will allow me to get what I want. So whatever I want, I want it then and now. I do not care if it is dharmic or adharmic. So this desire is helping me in that. So I will treat my desire as a friend. And he will become beholden to the desire, commit papas. And then when he gets back the fruit of those papas as dukkha, he will realize then, oh, I thought that this desire was my friend. But in the end, it has caused me nothing but pain. It has caused me nothing but sorrow. Therefore, I have now understood that this desire is not a friend but a foe. So for this Mudha, in the beginning, this Kama will be looked upon as a friend. And only in the end will he realize that it is an enemy. So for him, it is not a Nityavairi. For the Jnani though, in the beginning, middle and end, at all points of time, the Jnani will regard Kama as an enemy and therefore not even act on those adharmic desires. So that is why Bhagavan has very nicely said, Jnani no Nityavairina. For a Mudha, it is not a Nityavairi. But for a Jnani, Kama is a Nityavairi because it can cause such calamities. So therefore, Acharya is praying that Kama and all the Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya that spring from Kama, may they all be removed from my heart because they are all Sahajaripus, they are all my natural enemies. So let us also pray for this. Let us also pray that Devi remove those kama krodhas from our mind. And in the next shloka we will see what it is that we need in this life. So in regards to our body and mind, our duties, what is it that we should ask for when the background is Jnana sadhana? This we will see in the next episode. Namah Shankaraya.
Namah